Hello everyone, hope you are doing well. My name is Chinmaya, and in this video, I will demonstrate an outstanding online data visualization tool called Flourish. What Flourish offers is so rich and substantial that it is impossible to comprehensively cover the offerings in one single video. I have therefore structured this tutorial as a two-part crash course, of which this is part 1. The aim of this crash course is to get you started on Flourish and to make you familiar with the lay of the land such that you can explore Flourish on your own. To introduce Flourish, I have created 6 data visualization scenarios through which I hope to showcase a few of the many possibilities that Flourish has to offer. Let's start part 1 by exploring the Flourish website and creating a free account. So you can reach the Flourish website by typing in flourish.studio. I have included the link in the description box. There are quite a few things that you can explore on this website. You can have a look at the features that Flourish has to offer. There are numerous examples of charts that you can create using Flourish. Most of these charts are animated, so it creates a beautiful visualization for you. And you can string all of these visualizations together in a story. There is a fantastic blog that you can check out that brings out interesting data visualization stories and tips and tricks from time to time. You can also check out the help section, which is very extensive. You can access the help documentation from here, and you can start from the basics. You can learn how to edit data. You can learn a lot about the templates that Flourish has to offer. So this is one section I recommend you can check out if you start using Flourish. You also have access to free data sets. So you can use some of these data sets to practice. And there are links to sites from where you can actually get open data sets. So you can check this out as well. Now let's have a look at the pricing structure for Flourish. Flourish offers 3 accounts. One account is completely free and it is available for personal, educational, or evaluation purposes. I must say that this is really a very generous plan that gives you unlimited projects. It gives you access to a huge number of templates. You can publish your visualizations on the web and share links or embed those visualizations on your website. And whatever is published, you can actually view it on a desktop or on a tablet or on a mobile device, which means that the content is responsive. Flourish has 2 other plans, but they are meant for different user groups. So what we intend to do is to get started on the free plan. And what you need to do is to sign up. So you can click this button here or this button here. So when you do this, you are taken to a sign up page. So there are 2 options for sign up. One is you can sign up with your Google account. The second option is that you can provide your email, you can choose a username, and you can provide your name and then enter a password, agree to the terms and conditions, and then just go ahead and click on sign up and you are good to go. So once you have signed up, the next time you visit the Flourish website, you can just simply log in by clicking on the sign in option here. Use your sign in credentials that you have just created and just simply go ahead and log in to your free account. Once you log in, this is what you see on your screen. You can actually create folders to organize all the work that you do. And then here you have options to filter what you have created. For example, you can just see your visualizations or stories or the stories that you have published. You can actually search for your projects and visualizations. You can also sort by date or alphabetical order. And you will see that there are 2 buttons here. You can create a new visualization or you can create a new story. On the right hand bottom side, you have a question mark, which is a help button. So when you click on the help button, it provides you with context relevant help topics. So for example, I am here and so I have not yet created any visualization. So it is giving me help on how to create a visualization, how to add videos to Flourish stories, and so on and so forth. So you can click on any of these items, and it is very likely that what you are looking for is available here. So you can explore this from time to time. And to get rid of it, you just have to come here and click on this cross button. So this is what the opening screen of Flourish looks like. Let us now start by creating some visualizations and looking at some of the possibilities that Flourish has to offer. So when you sign in and reach your account, you will find that there are two buttons on the top. One is for creating a new visualization, and one is for creating a new story. So I'll talk about stories a little later on. Let's start by creating a new visualization. So we are going to come here and click on New Visualization. So Flourish presents you with a host of templates that you can choose from to visualize your data. So you can have line charts, bar charts, column charts, pie charts, and so on and so forth. You can present your data on maps. You can create bubble charts, scatter diagrams. You can put your data on 3D maps. You can create tree maps, sunburst charts. You have templates for Sankey diagram. You can create speedometers. You can create photo sliders. You can present results of your survey. So there are a host of templates that you can choose from. Some of these templates though are for the premium account holders, but the number of templates that are available for the free account are really very substantial, and you will not feel deprived if you are using a free account. Let's start by creating a simple column chart. And to create a column chart, you can just simply come here and pick on a column chart template. So whenever you open a visualization, you will see that there are two buttons on the top. One button is preview and one button is data. So the preview button actually shows you how the graph or the chart is going to turn out. And this chart is being created using this data. So if you click on the data button, Flourish shows you the data that is creating that particular chart. And you can delete rows, just right click on it and you can delete rows, insert rows. You can sort this data by columns, etc. What you can also do is to just simply go ahead and upload an Excel file or a CSV file and replace this entire data set with your own data. So when you press the preview button, it shows you the graph or the chart, and when you click on the data button, it shows you the data that is creating that particular chart. So this is a common feature with every template that you will open in Flourish. You can see how a chart looks like using the preview button, and you can then go and have a look at the data that is creating that particular chart. You will also see a data tab, and if you click on this drop down, you can actually download this data as a CSV or as an Excel file. So when you click on this, you have an option of downloading this data as an Excel file. So you have a few options here that you can choose. So it not only shows you and permits you to edit this, this is sample data. You can also download this data using this data tab. You will see here that after you have uploaded your data, or if you are using this data, you have to specify or tell Flourish the columns that contain the labels. So in this particular case, you will see that for this data set, Flourish recognizes that all the labels are going to come from column A, and you can change this by just simply typing in the address of another column. So for example, if I type in D here, this pink highlight will move on to D. So I have now told Flourish that labels are going to come from column D, which is in this particular case not really true. So let me just revert it back. And here you need to point out to Flourish where the data values are going to come from. So this is actually, these are all the series that you can actually map. What we can also do is we can specify a range, and we can say that data values are in columns from B to E. So B dash E will then expand the data, and you can then visualize all the other series as well. So you have a choice here that you can exercise, and you will see that as you keep changing, the graph will also keep changing, which is displayed here in this preview window. So when I bring this back to B, this is now indicating that I am ignoring data from columns C, D, and E, and I wish to use data only from column B. You will see that this is like a simple chart, a simple bar chart, or a simple column chart. And if I come here and include the other columns as well, so say for example, I include columns from B through E and press enter, you will see that this graph has now changed and it is showing all the series on the graph. So if I go now to the preview button, you can see the chart has changed. I can come back to data and revert this back to display only one series of data. So you can see in the preview window that it has now taken only one series of data. So there are some other options here, but we will have a look at some of these options later on. This is all that you have to do. Just simply upload your data and then tell Flourish what columns are containing the labels and what columns are containing the values that you wish to chart. So this is how all templates that you use for data visualization will actually work. So for this demonstration, let us include all the columns, and I'm going to come to values and indicate to Flourish that my data is residing in columns B through E. So as I move away from this box and click on any other box, you will see that change taking effect, and it has now color coded the columns that it now sees as data in purple. So we can go and have a look at the preview. And so you are now seeing all the 4 data series plotted on the chart. In the preview mode, on the right hand side, you will see a panel that permits you to customize almost everything about this chart. So let us say, for example, I wanted to include a legend because currently I don't know what these bars basically represent. So I can just come down and expand the legend drop down, and by default the legend is off. I can turn it on or put it on auto. Let me just put it on auto. So when you click on the on or auto button, you will see the legend appearing on the top of the chart. Now if you want to customize the legend, you have more options here, and you can align it to the center, or you can align it to the right. You can change the font size by coming and increasing or decreasing the size button. You can even provide the legend with a title. So as you can see, there are a host of customizations that you can do to the legend itself by just simply expanding the legend box. If you want to bring the legend at the bottom, you can come here and click on the legend position as below, and if you want to center it, you can bring it here. So you can customize virtually any aspect of this particular legend. You will see that the series titles are column 1, column 2. So this is all coming from the column titles here. And say for example, you wanted to change this, you will have to come to data and change this to something that is meaningful. This is of course sample data. So you can just go ahead and change it to anything that you want. So as you can see here, I have changed columns to products, and when I come back to preview, you will see that the legend titles have changed. Let's try to see a few other things here. So we don't have any label on the y-axis, so we can come here and expand the y-axis, and then just simply go ahead and add an axis title. So I can just say numbers sold, and you will see the title appearing here. If you want to make changes like font or color on the axis title, you can switch on the styling button here and you have further options. Say for example, if I wanted to make it really black and have it in a slightly larger size, so I can do that using the styling button right here. So you can customize practically anything that you want with reference to this particular chart. Let us add an x-axis title here, click on the styling and maybe change the color of this as well to black. So we now have x-axis titles. So let us open the legend and bring our legend down below and align it to the center for this particular chart. And then we can have a header. So this could be the chart title and we can just say sales of products. You can include a subtitle and other items of text and customize the header as you want. It can be aligned to the center. So you can then go ahead and customize the header in any way that you want. If you want to change the colors on this chart, you can come and expand the colors drop down and you have colors by column, and you can just come here and choose a different palette so the colors will change. So you have lots and lots of options to customize this chart as you want it to be customized. What you can also do is to come here and click on the chart type, and you can change this chart into a number of other charts that are available here. Say for example, if I wanted this to appear as a line chart, I can just click on this one and this chart will now appear as a line chart. I can make it appear like a stacked area chart, and I can change it to something entirely different. I can change it into a grouped bar chart. So you can see the flexibility that Flourish provides you in choosing any chart that you want. You can even create a pie chart. So from here you can choose different charts that are available to you. You can come to labels and switch on the labels. So you will be able to see quantities, and you can also click here and change this to a percent stack chart. So you can see the percentage of sales for every product. So you have tremendous number of options that you can choose from here to customize this particular chart. Here you will find a few buttons. So if you click on this button, it will show you how the visualization is going to look in full screen on a browser tab, and this is all interactive. So as you move your mouse, you can actually see pop-ups that you can further customize. If you come back here, you can click on this button to see how it's going to look on the desktop, on a tablet, and on a mobile phone. So you can visualize all these screens here and how the chart is going to look on each one of them. There's a little gear icon here. So if you click on this, you can view the visualization on a particular size, say for example HD or full HD or whatever screen you wish to choose. You can give a title here to your visualization. So let us say we can just call this as sales of products. All saving is automatically done for you, so you don't have to worry about saving your data. And once you are done, you can just come here and click on export and publish, and you have a few options here. So you can download this as an image, but this is going to be a static image. It will just be a screenshot of this. It will not include any animation. You can download it as an HTML, but this is available only as a premium feature. But the main option here is to go ahead and click on publish. So when you click on this button, it'll confirm whether you want to publish this visualization, and you can just simply go ahead and click on publish. So it'll just take a few seconds and your chart is now live on the web, and this is the link that you can follow. So if you click on this, you will see that you have a direct link to your chart, and you can share this link with anybody on the web. What you can also do is you can copy this code and embed it on your website. So you can always unpublish this project. If you don't want it to be publicly available, you can just click on this and your project will be unpublished. You can also export this to Canva if you wanted to as a template. On the right hand side, you will see in this little icon on the extreme right, you can manage your account and you can sign out of your account. You will notice that all saving is done automatically, so you don't have to worry about saving. If you are looking for a setting, you can search for a setting right here. Say for example, I was looking for legend, and then everything else is grayed out and you can just simply concentrate on that one particular setting. So this is how you can customize and create a typical chart in Flourish. So this is what you're going to see in every single template, and you can just simply use these controls. These controls may vary depending on a particular template, but then you can use these controls to customize the chart. Let's go back to data and let us see one other scenario here. If you want to upload your own data, all you have to do is click on the upload data. And in this particular case, I'm going to just simply import an Excel file right here and then just go ahead and press open. So Flourish comes back and tells you that it is about to import data from an Excel file. You can also use a CSV file. So just go ahead and click on import, and then it'll just come back and inform you that it has uploaded 12 rows. So the sample data is now replaced with your own data, and you can delete it, add it, and change it in any way that you want. If I want to delete this and delete this, I can do that quite easily. It tries to understand your data and tries to automatically enter columns that it understands as labels and values. In this particular case, I'm going to just simply go ahead and say my labels are in A and the values are in B. Once I have this data with me, and this data is for installed solar capacity for India, and I have taken this data from Wikipedia. So if you come to preview, this data will be immediately displayed as the chart type that you have chosen. In this particular case, I have chosen a simple column chart. As demonstrated earlier, we can now give the x-axis a title. So let me just enter the axis title, even though it is obvious, and also the y-axis title. In this particular case, let me just give the figures some meaning by using megawatt. This is the installed megawatt capacity and how it has increased over the years. Let us then go ahead and switch on the labels. So you will see that the figures from this data column are now visible, and then we can just go and give the chart a title. So we can do something about colors also. So when we come here, we can choose a different color. And if you wanted colors to be different rather than the same, you will see that there is a difference in rows. So what we're going to do is we can just come here and click on by row, and the colors for every bar will change. So this is how you can actually just simply upload your data and create a visualization for yourself. And then you can go ahead and click on export and publish your chart. As simple as that. Let's add another column here. Let us say, for example, if I wanted to compare solar with wind installed capacity for India. So I have two options here. I have this data as well. So I can just copy it and paste it here like this. And I now need to also include this in my values. So I will come here and include C as another series that I want to display on my chart. So you will see that by entering B to C, it has recognized C also as one of the series that I wish to display on my chart. So when I come to preview, you will see that based on the chart type that I have selected, in this particular case, I am using a stacked chart. So I can just come here and click on a grouped column chart. Let me change the colors also by column. So we will have two colors here. So you can see how things compare between solar and wind in terms of installed capacity in India. Let me fix some of these labels also. So we are not able to see these labels properly. So we can come here and click on this button here for label alignment. And you will see that labels are now visible. If you want to have these bars in a different color, you can change the palette. But if you wanted to see them in specific colors, you can override the colors also. So in this particular case, if I wanted to show the solar bars in a particular color like red, I can just come here and type in the header of the column and then just simply go ahead and give the color. And this color can be given as a word like red or blue, or it can also be given in terms of a code like RGB or X colors for HTML. So you can see that the default palette has been overridden and we are now seeing colors as specified by us for these particular bars. So let me name this and you will see that this has been saved. When you click on this home button here, you will immediately see this visualization appear in your projects folder. And if you're working on a project, you can create a new folder and put these visualizations in that folder for organizational purposes. What I could also have done in this particular case was, instead of pasting it right here, I could have just gone to upload data and chosen the file in which I had both columns of data directly and uploaded that file instead of my first file. And you will see that that file is now available here. It's best not to leave any rows blank on the top. So I'm just going to delete this row such that the titles, etc., are available for legend. So if you don't see these in labels, it is because you have an empty row at the top. So once you preview this, you will see that you now have both series of data through a direct upload rather than pasting that data directly into the sheet here. We can also highlight specific areas of a chart for many templates to attract the attention of the viewer. Let's try this out. So let me just change this chart type to a line chart to demonstrate this. So let's say, for example, we wanted to bring the attention of the viewer to this part of the chart. So what we can do is to go down and expand annotations. And here you will see that you can create an annotation on the x-axis or on the y-axis or on both the axes. So let us say, for example, I wanted to highlight this part of the chart where the difference between solar and wind was very substantial. I can just simply open up the x-axis highlight, because I would like to create a highlight on the x-axis, not on this y-axis, but on the x-axis. So let me just open this up. And what you can now do is to create or define the point where the highlight will present itself. You can highlight in two ways. You can either draw a line to indicate an exact point, or you can also create a band. So let me show you both of them. So in this case, I want to create a line at 2013. So I will just come here and write a label. Let me just write important, and then followed by 2 colons, and then followed by the x-axis point where the line is going to appear. So once I do this, I have a choice of colors. The line has not yet appeared because I will have to change the color for it to be visible, and also the width of the line. So as I keep increasing the width of the line, you will see that a line has appeared here, and this is how I can draw the attention of the viewer at this one single particular point. You will also notice that important is not completely visible, so we can just come down here and increase the width of that little text box. So you can now see that important is completely visible, and it has drawn a line at the 2013 point that is highlighting the difference between the two kinds of installed capacities between wind and solar. So this is one of the things that you can do. The second thing you can do is to create a band. Say, for example, if I wanted to create a band that was not just one single line, but a band between 2013 and 2014. So I will have to use the second box rather than the first box. So let me just remove this and come to the second box, and the syntax for the second box is shown here. So it's almost the same, except you have to specify a range rather than just one single point on the x-axis. So I'm going to come here and say important colon colon, and then 2013 followed by 2 greater than signs, and then 2014. So I wish to create a band between 2013 and 2014, that is this one and this one, and this band will become visible here on this particular chart. So as we did for the line color, we can also choose the area color, and this is going to become visible only when we increase the area opacity. So as you can see, as I increase this band appears here, and we have highlighted one particular part of the graph. If we wanted to highlight some other part of the graph, all we need to do is to come onto a fresh line and then just simply repeat this statement with a new location on the x-axis. So I can say, for example, come here and say 2020 and 2021. So this band will now also be created for this particular region, and you can see that we are able to see the full label because we have increased the maximum width of the text box. So this is how you can create highlights on a graph. Many templates permit you to do this, and you can draw the attention of the viewer to specific portions of the screen. What you can also do is come here and expand chart type, and instead of seeing both of these series on a single chart, you can come and click on grid of charts and see both of these as separate charts. So let's take a new example now. I have an Excel file in which I have data that I have got from the World Bank, and this is showing carbon dioxide emissions for 6 countries here. So every country is in a row, and in the columns you will see that we have data on carbon dioxide emissions in kilotons from 1990. So each column is a year and each row is a country. So as we can see, 1990, 1991, 1992, and as we scroll to the end, so we have data till 2019. And in the last column, I have a link to the flag of each country. So rows are representing countries and columns are carbon dioxide emissions in kilotons from 1990 onwards. So we want to visualize this data in a chart, and I have this in an Excel file. So let us try to create this visualization. So let us click on new visualization, And I'm going to scroll down and come to an interesting visualization, which is called as line chart race. So there are a few templates for line chart race chart, and I'm going to go ahead and choose the simple template. So I will just click on this. So it opens up and shows a very interesting kind of visualization. So you can see that the default data is creating a race chart where you have some quantity mapped over a number of years, and it is animating the quantity every year as it is increasing or decreasing for various variables. So this is what is called as a line race chart, and let us just go and inspect the data. So there is a label column. We have assigned A as the label column, and this is the default data that comes with Flourish when you choose this template. And all the other columns that you see here are values from B to U. So what we're going to do is we will upload our data for carbon dioxide emissions for the 6 countries that we have chosen. So I'm going to come here and click on upload data, and I have my data in an Excel file. You can also have this as a CSV file, but Flourish does not accept open data spreadsheet format. So if you are using LibreOffice Calc, you can save that data in either an Excel format or as a CSV file. So I'm going to click on this and just go ahead and press open. So Flourish is telling me that it's ready to import this data. I'm going to click on import, and 7 rows have been uploaded, and it tries to understand the label column and the data column, but we have to make sure that it has verified that correctly. So the label column has been identified correctly as A, and data for each year is starting from 1990 and it is going right up to 2019. So it has identified the data columns also correctly, starting from column E and going to column AH. So we can just go ahead and click on preview, and let's replay this. So you will see that the data that we have for carbon dioxide emissions for these selected countries is now being played as an animation, and we can see for each year how the emissions have gone up and down for these different countries. So you can see now that around 2005, the emissions for China cross that of USA, and we can see some changes in this cluster of countries as well. So the chart just keeps racing till the end, and hence it is called as a line race chart. Now we can just come here and replace these circles with the flags of each country. So let's head back to data, and there's a option for image. So we can specify a column where we have provided links for the flags of each countries. So I'm going to come here and click on this box here and just mention the cell that contains the links of the flags of these countries. So I'm going to come here and write AI, and that's just about it. So this data has now been incorporated, and we can head back to preview, and you will see that instead of circles, we can now see flags of these countries inside each circle. So this is a little bit more aesthetic to look at. So this chart will keep playing and showing you data from 1990 to 2019 as an animated line race chart. Now we can do quite a few things here to make this chart much more usable. Let's start by giving the correct source. So this is the source for the default data that came with Flourish, and we are going to change this. So we will go to footer, and we'll scroll down and insert the correct source for this data, which is the World Bank. So I'm going to type the World Bank in the source name, and I'm going to provide the correct link. So just come inside the box and paste the link, and we are good to go. And we can place this in the center if we wanted to. So we can now see that the source has been attributed to the World Bank, and people can click on this and reach the site where this data can be found. Next up, let us give a title to the y-axis, because we are having figures here, but we need to specify the unit and also indicate what these figures actually mean. So I'm going to collapse the footer box and go to the y label, and then just simply go ahead and type a title, and I will also give the units as kilotons. So this is just sample data, and you can use your own data and put the appropriate y-axis title right here. So you can see that we have a y-axis title. We now have a source. We can also put a title to this chart. So I'm going to open the header, and I can just come here and in the title box type in a title and align it maybe to the center. And I can also put a subtitle here if I wanted to. So we now have a header, and we have the y-axis title properly, and we have also indicated a source. What we can also do is to alter the radius of these circles. So we can come here to this drop down on circles and increase the end radius. So if we just keep increasing this value, you will see a bigger circle that shows the flags a little more clearly. So we can make all these customizations quite easily using some of these options, and you can explore these options later on yourself. So let us now just replay this and see how this goes. And this is like really showing quite well. The flags are visible, and you can see the line chart being played as a racing graph year by year and dynamically showing you how things have changed over the last 2 decades in terms of carbon dioxide emissions for a few countries that we have chosen here in this sample data. So this is a line race chart. It is very nicely animated. Now you will also notice that some of the decimal points are not visible. So we can just come to number formatting and reduce the number of decimal points, or otherwise we can come to chart sizing and provide a little bit of margin on the right, so you can see this, and we can bring the figures back into the frame. So from chart sizing, you can provide a margin on the top or bottom, left and right, and you can take care of any such kind of issues that might emerge. Now, there is another way in which this chart can actually be shown, and you can just click on ranks instead of scores. So if you are interested in the ranking in terms of carbon dioxide emissions, you can just click on rank and you can go ahead and press replay. So this race chart now, instead of showing you figures from every year, it's actually showing you the rank in terms of the quantity of carbon dioxide emitted for each country. And it's going to change only when there is a change in the rank. So as we keep plotting this chart, you can see that around 2005, there is a change, and the graph changes only when you have a change in ranking. So once you are done, you can go to export and of course go ahead and publish and share, as I have explained before. If you wanted to capture this animation, you can actually use animated GIF to capture the animation, but it is important that you credit Flourish and include a line that shows that this chart has been created using Flourish. So this is how you can create a line race chart. So I can just give it a name and just come here and call it CO2 emissions. You can just come here and click on this house icon and you will be taken back. There are 3 dots here. So if you want to make a copy of this chart, you can do that using this icon. And if you want to delete this chart, or for that matter, any other chart, you can just come here and click on the bin icon and this chart will be deleted. So very quickly, there is another similar visualization. And if we click on new visualization, we can go down and try to look for a bar race chart instead of a line race chart. And we can just simply click on this to open the template and follow the exact same procedure if we wanted to create a bar race chart. So this is the default data. I'm going to come here and upload my data as I have done before. And just click on this and open this file and import the data. So the exact same thing that we have done before. And you will notice that data has been picked up properly. So we can just go and click on preview and you will see that this data is the exact same data that is presented in a slightly different way. It's showing you the year here and it is showing you the total for that particular year if you are interested to see that. And you can see changes as they happen and the chart is racing as bars. So if you don't want to show a particular country, you can just click on that country in the legend and that country will drop out of this chart. So if you wanted to compare just 2 or 3 countries, you can easily do that. And click on it once again. So you will see that country appear again. And you can stop the animation or play the animation from here anytime that you wish. So this is a very similar kind of chart. It's called as the bar chart race. And you have a template for this as well if you wanted to use this particular template instead of a line race chart. So let's now look at another visualization. Here I have a very simple data sheet in which I have the air quality index of 2 air monitoring stations in the city of Delhi. So these values are for some hypothetical day. And we have 2 air quality stations in Mumbai. So 2 of these entries are for Mumbai. And this is the AQI value on that hypothetical day. And the next column is historical best column. So what has been in the recent times the best air quality indicator value that we have experienced at each of these stations. So we will try to visualize this data. So let me just go ahead and close this. So we are going to come down and look at the gauge charts here. And there are a few templates here. The data that we will be presenting will be shown as a speedometer and the quantity will be reflected by the needle itself. So there are a few options here. We are going to pick up the simple option. So I'm going to click on this. So you will see the gauge here. And if you go and inspect the data, you will see that the needle is pointing to a value. This is the default data that comes with Flourish and the needle is pointing to this quantity. If we change this quantity to, let us say, for example, half, like 30, and then go back and have a look, you will find that the needle and the gauge has changed and the needle is now pointing to 30. So we can do a lot to customize this chart. So let's go ahead and click on data and upload our air quality data. So I'm going to come here and click on this file in which I had saved my AQI data and I'm going to import that data. So it comes back and tells me that 5 rows have been uploaded. So as you can see, it has correctly identified the label column as the name of the station in different cities. And it has correctly also identified the value columns. So this is the AQI values for these stations and this is the historical best. So this is a sample data that I will be using to demonstrate this chart. So as you click on preview, so you will see that there are 4 stations here. So there are 4 rows, and as you click on preview, because there are 4 rows, we will see 4 gauges. If there are 2 rows, we will see 2 gauges. So as many number of rows that you have in this table, Flourish automatically creates a gauge for each and every row. So when we come and click on preview, you will see that we are now seeing 4 gauges, and this is showing the AQI value on a particular day for a station in Delhi, another station in Delhi, and the same for one station in Mumbai and another station in Mumbai. So let me quickly show you some of the customizations that we can do for these charts. So if you click on the gauge drop down, you will find that you have a few options here. So for example, you can change the shape of the gauge itself. So if we click here, you will see a different kind of format. And if you click here, you will see a different format. So I'll stick to the default format, and this changes the inner radius of the speedometer. So you have a few options here as well. I'm going to stick with the default option, and you can choose some other options here. You can explore these later on. Now, one of the important things that we need to change is to change the segments that match this data. So this is AQI data, and for India, this is typically represented in 6 categories. You can read a little bit about AQI on the internet. So to create custom segments, as I want to reflect here, so like, these colors representing a certain interval properly reflected on the gauge. I'm going to come here and expand the segments box, and then change the number setting from auto to custom. So when I do that, I have 2 boxes that are presented to me. So I can specify custom segments by entering the starting and the ending value separated by 2 colons, and there is a space in between the number and the colons. So I'm going to come here and enter my first segment that I want, 0 to 50. As I move away, you will see that a segment has appeared here, and then I can just come here and enter the remaining segments. So the second segment starting from 50, space double colon 100, then 100 double colon 200, 200 double colon 300. So these can be segments as you desire. I am trying to create segments that follow the Indian AQI categories. Then 300 to 400 and 400 to 500. So as you move or click on another box, you will find that these segments have now been created. So we don't have a real 0 at the moment, so we will do something about this in a second. Let us also label these. So I can just come here and provide labels in sequence for the 6 categories that I have entered. So in this particular case, I will start with good. So if you have a value in the first category between 0 and 50, it will be labeled as good. Next is satisfactory, followed by moderate. These are the Indian AQI labels. So if you are working with US AQI labels or AQI labels of other countries, you can appropriately put them here. And then we have poor, very poor, and severe. So I have created 6 segments, and I have created 6 labels for each of these 6 categories right here. So these labels are currently not visible because of the size. So what we can do is we can come here and click on these three dots here in the size section, and we can decrease the size, and you can see these labels are now visible on each of these segments. Because the real estate is very small at this particular time, they have to fit in inside this particular segment length, but the labels are there. Let's now go and fix the starting and the ending point. We will just expand the gauge drop down and provide a custom range rather than an auto range. So when we do that, we can specify the minimum as 0 and the maximum as 500. So you can now see that our gauges are having the correct size. So if you find the fonts to be really small, even after you have applied the custom font size, what you can do is to show these charts individually rather than in a grid, because the space that is available for putting in all these characters inside each segment is very limited. So what we can do is we can come to layout and just scroll down, and we can just come here and click on the main graphic, and you will see that now these charts are being displayed one after the other rather than in a grid, and there is more space to display the values. So what we're going to do is we will just come back now to the segments section and just increase the size of the font here, and as you can see, these are now visible. Even if we wanted to employ a custom size, we can then increase it to our satisfaction. So these are now, all of them are visible inside the segment. What we can also do to see a larger version of each of these gauges is to come to height and change the number of columns from auto to fixed and reduce it by 1. So you can now see that the text is clearly visible on each segment. If you had a large number of charts and you wanted to see them all on one screen, you can also use this to go the opposite way and increase the number of columns and see all your charts on one single screen. What you can also do is to change the size of the text here. So you can just click on text and click on one of these options to change the size of the titles under each chart, and you can also change their position. So if you want the name under the value, you can do that quite easily by clicking on these options here. So we will stick with the default. We can also change the color of these segments, and what we need to do is to just come down here, and so these segments are represented by a certain color. So if we wanted to match them with the AQI colors, we can come and click on this drop down right here and edit the color palette, and then just simply go ahead and reposition these colors. If you want a particular color, you can type in the hex value of that color. I'm just going to use these colors to show a quick demonstration. So as we keep moving, you will see that the color of these segments is changing. So the third one is now in yellow, and the fourth one I want to put in orange. So I'm going to move it here. If I want to change this to a different color, I'll just click on this box and go ahead and choose a different color. And then let me just bring in red, and then finally deep red. So I can change colors like this. Just click on the box or type in the value of the color, and you can now see segments in different colors as well. You can also add another color if you wanted to. You can come here and click this drop down and try to see what is the historical best at each of these places. So this is how you can actually create gauge charts, and these are very useful for indicating things like sales data or comparing sales in various territories. In this particular case, I'm using sample pollution data. So we are all done here. Let's give this chart a name. I'm going to call it AQI, and we are all set to export and publish this visualization on the net and share it with others or include it on a website. So this is how you can create gauge or speedometer charts in Flourish. So this brings us to the end of part 1 of this crash course on Flourish. In part 2, we will see how to visualize survey data and create some other interesting charts like the Sankey chart and photo sliders. In part 2, I will also demonstrate how to create a story in Flourish. I hope you found part 1 of this crash course on Flourish useful, and I look forward to seeing you in part 2. Thanks a lot for watching.